If he seems off today, bear with him. He's still processing Pete Davidson leaving SNL. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. No choice but get it on. Mandate, get it on. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for telling a friend. We love that about you, right, Gina Grad?
That's right.
And Ball Brian.
Just get over here and blow me.
So, lots to talk about.
Big weekend,
but I'll start with the slightly unobvious. I have a thing with people. These are the people that they take the bar stool that is sitting at the raised counter of your home. Then at some point you show up in your kitchen or your dining room and you see the bar stool is over next to the window. Because that person had to use the bar stool to climb up and do something.
It may have been needed at that moment.
But now you're done.
Yeah.
Put it the fuck back. It's a major thing. It just undo what you did.
It's what kids do. It's why we have to coach up the 6-year-old at home.
Yeah. So I was in Malibu where gas is $7 a gallon.
Yep. And in Studio City, $7.09.
And cost over $120 to fill up my tank. And
cut me off at 100.
Well,
oh yeah, they'll cut you off at 100.
I don't know if it's an Apple Pay thing or I don't know, or credit card. I don't know what it is, but $100. That's all you get.
So I was having breakfast on Saturday, and I pulled into the Chevron, and I went to use the pump, and the pump, put the credit card in, and they said, "Go see the guy in the office." You know
I
what
would rather leave and leave gasless.
I'll leave my car.
That's usually my move. I just start running down the street in the opposite direction. So I went, okay, I don't want to deal with this pump. So I just rolled ahead to the next pump, put the credit card in, and it said, "Go see the guy in the office." And I was like, okay, I'm basically at zero, and I got to get back to the condo, and it's about 6 miles away. All right, so I went and see the guy in the office, and he says, we're just debit and cash now, no more credit cards.
What?
And I've seen this popping up at a lot of gas stations. As a matter of fact, the price they give you now could be the cash price. Right.
That's very Arco of them.
Very Arco. So I was like, we're in Malibu. This is Chevron. But they're like, no. And then I thought to myself, how about you put on a fucking sign by the pump? And the go see the attendant just means I'm leaving or I'm going to another pump, which is what I did. And then I'm going inside. Just put something. You got a computer. It's a screen. Just go, we no longer accept or whatever it is. But anyway. So then I go, well, look, I think I got enough to get to the condo. So I then drive to the condo.
You don't even give the guy $10 and fill up a little bit.
No.
Okay.
I get to the condo. I'm at 1 mile or at 0 at this point, but they give you a little grace period on the car. If it says 0, you can usually trot around for 6-7 miles to find a gas station. But I got the plug in. And I got the cord hanging out from under the garage door, and I just dutifully plug it in each time. And the plug-in give you about 20 miles on just pure
emergency
electric.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, I'm in, and I'm like, I don't need to get gas. And tomorrow, if I go out, I'll go get some gas. But I bought myself about 18, 20 miles here, so I got some time. So the next day, I go out, and I unplug the plug, the jack on the side of the car. I get in the car, turn the car on. It's at 0. It's at 0 electric and 0 gas. And I'm like, plug this shit in overnight. What's up?
Who gives?
What's up is plumber guy came by over the during the week, checked something in the garage, unplugged the fucking charge cord to plug in his adapter or whatever it is, and then just fucking left it on the floor, except for it just comes out the garage door, the business end, and I have no fucking idea that someone went into my garage and unplugged it. Normally pissed, but it's $7 a gallon, and I'm telling you, man, that it's a sad state of affairs, but that 20-mile range you get overnight when you plug it in, you start counting on it with gas. But now I don't know if I can make it to the gas station at this point because some fucker came in, unplugged my shit, and then left. It drives me nuts. Everyone undoes it and never redoes it. And then we get on to the subject of information. Now, you guys know this is a pet peeve of mine. People at workplaces that don't have the information of the place. You know, I was...
Yeah, I don't know. We're asked that a lot. Anyway.
I announced Saturday at breakfast, I'm ordering a beer with my breakfast. That's
Goddamn.
right. That is right.
Sam Elliott over here.
I'm off my diet. And they have the beer selections.
Fire soup be damned.
And I'm like, one of them says IPA on it. And then there's 7 other offerings. And then I say, I like this IPA, but are these others, the hazy, whatever, is that an IPA? Or are there other ones? Goes, no, just this IPA. Just as the IPA. And then, of course, later on we find out
Hazy
the
is
2 others
typically
are
an IPA.
the IPA. But why would he know? He just works
of course.
at the restaurant. And
Probably
then
the first time he's been asked that.
I hearken back to showing up at overtime with Bill Maher. Car picked me up around 2, showed up there around 2:45.
Real time.
Oh, overtime, I said. Sorry,
Well, you may have done overtime too.
Yeah,
I did
both.
overtime. I mean real time. And so the guy, they'll meet you in the lobby. It's at CBS television, whatever. It's across from like The Price is Right and where Bill did PI all those years, maybe in the same studio.
So closer to
Craig Kilborn.
By the Grove.
Oh, wow.
was
Yeah,
in
the
there.
Grove, right.
It was right,
Melrose,
across the street
Fairfaxy.
from the Grove.
Yeah.
Right. So the guy, he picks me up. Now, he's a lower level guy because he's the guy they dispatch to meet you in the lobby.
Dancing with the Stars was there.
That's right.
That's right.
So I go in there and I go, hey, something I've been thinking about. I know Bill does about a 10-minute monologue at the top. And then I also know he does about a 10-minute interview off in the corner. And then the panel shows up. The desk literally moves. It's about 12 feet. It just slides forward. Right. And I said, when do you set the panel? Because I've done a million shows where the person is conducting the interview over there and then under the cloak of darkness,
Right.
they walk you out sort of quietly and they preset you.
Right.
Because if you just go out at the top of the show, then you sit out there for over 20 minutes
yeah.
and it's a long time just to kind of thaw out.
Yeah.
So I say to the guy who's walking me out, I go, there's the monologue and then there's the interview. And then when do you preset us? When do we go out on stage? And he goes, at the beginning.
Oh, boy.
And I go, so we go out at the beginning and then you go down this road. No, Bill does the monologue and then he does the interview and then he'll get to you. It's like, understood?
Seen the show?
He says
Familiar with the format?
he has no idea. He has no idea. Even though he physically works there, he has no idea. So then I go to my dressing room and I say to the next producer, whoever now comes in, this is a higher level person, I go, so he does the monologue, then he does the interview, then you preset us. Do we come out halfway into the interview or do we go out there at the very top? And they're like, at the top. And I'm like, so we're sitting there watching the monologue, watching his back. The monologue the whole time? Yeah. Okay, it doesn't comport with how I know these things work, but okay. Then at some point, a half hour later, the stage manager guy comes out and he goes, Bill's going to do the monologue. Then Bill's going to do the interview. About halfway into the interview, we're going to walk you guys out.
And
I'm like,
there it is.
and there it is.
That makes
But
sense.
what took so long for that? Why? I don't know. Do people not listen or
They don't know, so
Yeah,
they're assuming
they have
with
one
confidence.
job, yeah, they're siloed.
That's not their department.
So the way it works is when the show starts, they walk you into the wings so you can watch the monologue. And then at some point, he goes off and does the interview. And then at some point, they walk you over and they preset you about 5 minutes left in the interview. And then the whole desk goes forward on a track and then it stops. And so I was back there and they hit you on Wednesdays, as previously discussed on this program. They'll hit you on Wednesday, which is here are the topics Bill wants to talk about. So then you do what you do. You start making notes. I always reach out to Mike Lynch. Hey, Mike, anything in the book, any of my thoughts that you can think about that would translate into these subjects?
What do I think about this?
Yeah.
What do I think about this? And then you start getting your shit together and you start preparing, and then you go, okay, this will be the first one. Here's some beats of some thoughts I have, and then here's the second one. As far as notes or beats on stage at the desk, they provide you with some green note cards. I don't know, 5x7 or something. And then you say to them, can we make notes? Are you telling us, like, make notes and bring it out? And they're like, don't hold them up and shuffle them around. But if you want a couple of beats and you want to just leave it in front of you, by all means, but we don't really want to see it, And I'm like, all right, that makes sense. But I have noticed from watching the show that people look down or have some notes written down. There's just too many stats, too many numbers, too many locations, too many Americans who own handguns.
Too many guests talking. You're going back to a point made 2 minutes ago. Right.
So then I go, all right. So I think I have I have beats. I'm pretty well worked out on these subjects, and then I get into the car, and then we get about halfway to the studio, and I get the email from August saying, here's what Bill wants to talk about now.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh, geez, I'm just sitting in the back of this car. Thank God I brought a notebook. Thank God it was a couple of subjects that I could kind of wrap my mind around. I was like, okay, all right. So I start writing beats down for the new subjects that are now... they're not Wednesday subjects. These are the ones we're going to talk about in an hour and a half. So I make a bunch of beats, pretty satisfied that I have a few angles on some of these things, came up with a joke or two. And then we get to the green room. They give you a dressing room, and Donna Brazile has the room next to mine. And then they say, all right, now we got new ones. And I go, great. I got the new ones. And they're like, not those ones. Newer. These are the new ones. And this is about 40 minutes before the show starts. And then it's like, oh, we want to talk about Wayne Belinsky. He's running for district selectman in the 33rd district of Pennsylvania. And this guy's a nut. Yeah. This guy's a nut. And I'm like, I don't have any thoughts on these races that are going on, these midterm races that are going on in Pennsylvania. I don't know who these guys are. I don't have thoughts. I don't have anything. And they're like, well, put some together.
Good luck.
And then I start thinking, now I go back to the bad student in me. I'm like, it's one thing when they give you a subject and you don't really have any thoughts on it, but your comedic mind can go, I'll go to work on this. It's another thing when they're just talking about politicians you've never heard of in places that you don't know about. And I don't even know what they're known for or what they did or anything. So I have in the back of my head, I have Mike August going, I think Donna Brazile, she likes to have a couple of pops and then get up there and then just wing it, just wing it. So I go into bad student mode. I go, good.
Good plan.
Good. Donna doesn't. Yeah. She'll have a couple of pops. I'll get out there and
she'll look confused.
We'll just wing it, So then I go into Donna Brazile's dressing room, and she's up on her feet and she's frantically making notes.
Sober as a judge.
And then I look down at the table where they do offer you like a traveler, a mini bottle of tequila, a mini bottle of vodka, I think a mini bottle of Jack Daniels, and a sort of medium mini bottle of white and red wine.
Ooh, boy.
And so then I walk in and I'm like, hey, Donna. And she's like, she's busy.
No time.
She's making notes about this guy and that guy. And I'm like, gonna have a drink? She's like, no, I gotta get these notes down. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Now I'm sitting next to the Asian student who studied his ass off. And at this point, I just go, oh, fuck it. I'm just going out there. Whatever comes up, comes up. I have no idea who these people are. So I just went out there and had no idea what anyone was talking about, but got some zingers in. The audience was good. Turned out fine. We have a few clips to play for you along the way. Yes.
It seemed like a pared down panel because aren't there usually 3? So you guys were expected to do more of the heavy lifting.
Well, that was the other thing, too. I think they shifted to 2. I don't know when.
I think it's like after COVID. They didn't want 3 people sitting so close to each other. I've noticed it's been 2 since the COVID stuff.
Also, there's always a difference between the shows that you watch, and I watch real time, and the shows you don't watch. This is why all the good. This is why all the good clips come out of like whatever News One in Australia and Danny DeVito's Blitz. You know,
Oh, yeah,
it's like,
limoncello.
I don't care, you know, because it's like in your mind, you're on some show that you never watch versus, all my friends watch this show and they're going to have thoughts about me on this show because they watch this show and I watch this show too. And then the second added bonus of I would say never campaign to go on anybody's show. When people want to know, Dancing with the Stars, I'll just go, they asked, I said, fine. Any appearance I've done in the last, when people just go, what are you doing going on O'Reilly for? I go, he asked me to come on, so I went on. You asked me to come on, I'll go on your show. I don't really even care what the show is, as long as I can say what I want to say. And then they go, well, I disagree with that guy who hosts the show who asked you to come on. And I go, yeah, but that guy never tells me what to say.
Right.
Nobody, and, everyone is angry at Fox, but Hannity or Tucker or whoever, O'Reilly back in the day, they never told you what to say. They just go, here's what we're talking about. Here's the topic we want to discuss.
Hannity didn't tell Sean Penn what to say, and Sean Penn was very vocal about his feelings.
Right. So that's fine. You can go on shows who you may disagree with the host, but as long as they don't tell you what to say. And then they always do this, you got to follow the talking points. They don't give you talking points. You just go out there. But anyway, I lobbied in one degree or another to go on Real Time. And when I showed up, they don't have any turnover over there because it's the easiest gig in the world. They tape on a Friday. I don't know when people roll in, noon, but they're out of there by 5. And there's no turnover. So everyone I ran into is like, you were here 10 years ago, 11 years ago, how long were you? And then it was like, yeah, I did the thing where you roll the chair into the desk. You'd be on Bill's left side.
Yeah.
Right. And they go, oh, yeah, we haven't done that in 12 years. So it had to be, it was like way back. I did it way back. And then, as you guys know, I didn't lobby to go on the show, but I had Bill on this show, and then I did his podcast.
Well, he's also told you several times he doesn't think you're funny or interesting and doesn't want you vacationing with his family.
That's true. I forgot. Evil Bill. And then I told him, look, I think there's something going on with HBO. Like, I feel like I'm being blackballed because I used to do PI every 10 minutes, and I haven't been on the show in over a decade. It can't be a coincidence. You have people on multiple times, some of the names I don't even recognize. Like, come on. And he's like, I'm going to bat. I'm going to get this done. And God bless him. He went and got it done. But now I feel like, now I've lobbied to go on this show. They didn't really want me on this show. Bill lobbied to get me on this show. And then if I go out there and lay an egg, it's going to be confirmation bias. Like, see, I told you this is why we don't want the guy out there. So I had all those feelings racing through my head as we began the show. It's kind of interesting. The audience is getting, I'd say they went from pretty hard left to kind of libertarian or down the middle or something. They applaud this and they applaud that. Like that's not the old audience. Number one. Also, it's also like, I know Donna Brazile she's very skilled. She's very animated. She'll also, filibust. She'll talk over you. She'll
Hold
take
on,
over.
boo-boo. Hold on.
Right. She'll do that. And of course, we're fresh off the racist-inspired shooting in Buffalo, and her hair's on fire. And I'm like, oh boy, this is going to be a great outing. But it all turned out fine, and everything basically worked out. And it's kind of fun. You sit up there. It's kind of interesting being on a show that you watch pretty religiously, because now your point of view is of a person that's on the show, and you're like looking at Bill, and then you're looking across. They roll a monitor out. You're not supposed to read his teleprompter. Everyone has this instinct to like crane their head and try to read ahead on the jokes. Don't do that, people. Just
All of you who are on real time.
Enjoy the monologue or enjoy the whatever.
Before we get too far, I feel like I know the answer to this inherently, but in those precious 40 minutes where you got the name of who? Some guy from Pennsylvania. It doesn't matter. Name we didn't know. Was there any temptation to Google it, look up a few things? I know you're not swift on the phone.
I said, well, send me the article. I mean, do you have an article you're going off of? And then they said, well, we can send our head writer in and he can, download a couple of jokes or something for you. But I was like, I'm very much like, I cannot really, I know so little about this that I don't know that I am going to know about it. I did sort of try to figure out what was going on with these races and what was going on. But I thought, at the end of the day, I'm just going to be commenting on what they say versus making my own points on this subject. I'm not going to be able to just speak as if I know on this subject. I will take shots at whatever they're saying about this person. That's a far more comfortable position for me to be in. So I made peace with that. But there was a mild attempt to educate myself before I went out there.
At any point, because you're clarifying this for me, so I like Ryan said, I think I may know the answer and it might be no. But at any point during the show, did you feel like you were biting your tongue? Or were you just like, I'm going to let you guys figure this out?
Well, it is a situation. Look, it's there's no the situation sitting on a TV panel versus situation sitting at a diner. If you have two friends and the two friends are talking about your friend Sam and go, oh, that guy's such a douchebag. Oh, I fucking hate that Sam. Oh, and then the other one chimes in and goes, Sam, he's dangerous. He's a whatever. Now you're sitting there.
I like him.
Yeah, you go, I think he's an all right guy. But then they'll both sort of turn on you. You have to do some of it. But on the other hand, you're going to have a horrible lunch if you just dig in and you go, I love Sam. I think he's the greatest guy in the world.
Battles.
Right. So there's an element of that. And then, I think what you try to do is you try to pick things that you have some sort of mutual agreement on and then make other points. We have a little overtime. We can play the overtime where he's talking about, like, I don't know if it's in this one, but he was saying, Bill was saying, for instance, Biden's running again and I don't think he's lost the step. He was saying, Biden's, he's never been very good, at speaking from the microphone. Yeah. And I'm like, all right, well, so your argument for your guys, he's never been good? All right, but we'll play it out. We'll see if we can figure it out. Always a little caught off guard with the sound, I feel, Chris.
I got to stick with Joe Biden until
All right, now you got to start at the top, sorry.
I believe it's Joe Biden. He's announced that he's going to run for re-election. I haven't seen any signs that he is throwing in the towel, so I got to stick with Joe Biden until I know something else. Now, if he decides not to run, I got a long list, Bill. If you want to get on my list, call me.
You definitely don't want to be on the list.
Oh, well.
But
He's
like,
not going to be worried about running. He's going to be worried about walking.
Phil liked that one.
oh, that's ageist.
Yeah, well,
Very much so.
it's ageist, but you're allowed to be ageist if the guy's the pilot of an airplane that you're in, right?
Okay, but I feel like that's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Lots of people have it in their interest that he is going to act senile. And I mean, everybody who is on camera that much is going to make some gaffes. And let's be honest, he was a gaffe machine when he was 40. He's actually better. Yeah. He makes less gaffes now, probably because he's aware of it more and he's president. But I just don't see that he is that different than he was 10, 20 years ago.
Then at some point I made that joke about him doing it again or not being that good in the past. Yeah, that's what you have to do. You have to kind of sit there and then let him say something and then think of something like run. She kept saying, that's Joe's running. And then I was like, run, walk. Oh, okay. And I picture him falling down the stairs. The other one, we had, which is, let's see. Oh, the one where he went on about, can't remember which running for who, but I think it was, Hillbilly
J.D. Vance?
Yeah, J.D. Vance. I think he went on about J.D. Vance. And then he just threw it to me, which is like,
Juggle.
okay. All right, we'll play that one.
Sorry, which one is that one? 1, 2, or 3?
That's 2.
Okay.
Should Democrats run more candidates like John Fetterman?
Oh, this is not in overtime, I don't think.
Who is he?
I
I
didn't
don't know
see
who
this.
that is.
Elise Stefanik. She's number 3 Republican, former normal
yes.
person.
Once upon
She had a statement on Twitter that started the White House, House Dems, and usual pedo-grifters.
Yeah.
Pedo. So, like, it's routine to call I'm sorry, but the Republicans are talking like Nazis. I know we're not supposed to make the Nazi comparison, but when you're pedophiles and when you're scum, when you're the enemies of the America, when people are trying to replace you, this is Nazi kind of talk. Adam, your thoughts?
Well, pedo-grifter was the name of my youth soccer team. So it just means something more to me than maybe others.
All right, that's all we got.
That was nice.
I don't know anything about who
You
he's
need
talking
to
about, but
deflate the situation.
I'll come up with a joke when he throws it at me. All right, we got some more clips to play. The new rules thing I thought was brilliant. I don't know if you guys saw that at the.
You weren't in
at
it,
the
so I
end.
deleted it.
I just sat there and went like, wow, if I was at home, I'd really be enjoying this about now. But
He had some divisive thoughts for some people.
I thought it was really
Me
interesting,
too.
although you're sort of adrenalized out there. So and you're looking around and you're kind of like, you're probably only digesting 5/8 of what he's saying. So I told Chris to whack it from 9 minutes to 4.5, and we can play that in the next segment. First, I'll tell you about JB Weld, the world's strongest bond. The brand DIYers and pros have trusted for over 50 years. Use their epoxies, super glues, putty sticks, and wraps for projects big and small on practically any surface. Metal, wood, plastics, glass, ceramics. It can all be mended with JB Weld. Keep it in your kitchen drawer, your toolbox, or with your craft supplies. Look, when something breaks, fix it, people. We got enough junk in our landfills. Take it upon yourself. Also, the proud owner of Herculiner, the original DIY truck bed liner. If you're looking for the world's strongest truck bed liner, Herculiner, well, they got you covered. So, if something breaks, fix it with JB Weld. It's available at jbweld.com, Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart, AutoZone, Advanced Auto Parts, O'Reilly, Amazon, Michaels, and more. And it's proudly made in the U.S. of A. It is JB Weld. All right, we'll take a break. We got more clips. We got your calls. We'll do all that right after this.
It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Hey, Ace man. I should have known you were right. I've always tried to just wave at people at the stop sign, trying to get them to go. It's their actual turn. Just did it with a gal. She started flashing her high beams at me, wouldn't go, nothing. I pointed at her, pointed to where she was going, and she immediately started driving. Thanks, Ace man. Get it on.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
Oh, this is also part of my Flow campaign from last week that I don't think I included, which is if you pull up at a four-way stop or you're pulling out of a Home Depot and somebody, the second the person gives you the wave, you go.
Yeah.
That there's just you and this other human being in this particular equation. When they go, just
Done.
Go. Do not then wave back to them, which, by the way, always creates the confusion because the people that then wave back, sometimes that person waves again, or sometimes they both pause and then they both start out and then they stop and then we rinse and repeat. If somebody waves you on, thank them and proceed.
Be on your way.
The point works.
Can I add some pork to your Flow campaign?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we could add no more taxing tampons to the Flow campaign.
Heavy flow.
Yeah, something to think about.
It's funny, I did Piers Morgan show earlier today, and I was like, I was thinking, oh, Piers Morgan. And then I went, oh, I had that clip that went viral where I was calling him a fat blowhard.
Oh, did you forget about that?
Nobody wanted to hear from him. And who decided we need to run this guy out of the country?
Yeah.
And then I thought, oh, is he going to dig that up? And then I thought, oh, I don't know. That was 11 years ago. Oh, he had it.
Nice.
He had it ready.
That's interesting because I kind of was wondering if the same thing was going to happen with Donna Brazile.
Yes, Donna Brazile.
Do you have thoughts on Donna?
A few years ago, you sure did.
Donna had that. Donna's kind of interesting because she had that whole thing with Megyn Kelly, I think, where Megyn was asking her about providing the questions for the Hillary in advance or whatever. And she kind of went back to this, like, my mama didn't raise. Now, the reality is she's super shrewd and she's super smart and she's super skilled, but she can fall back on this caricature of this person from a different time of talking about my mama and religion and stuff like that. So she can slide back into this and it works to get out of tough questioning because she's a shrewd, she's a well-prepared, shrewd person. And if you ask that person that question, then they kind of have to answer. So she'll slide into this character.
It's a version of, I'm just a caveman.
Right.
Yeah. But what do I know?
What do I know?
So Piers did bust that out. Now,
oh, my God.
To be fair to him, because he's into expression and free speech, he had no problem with any of it. He just didn't like that I said he was in his 50s when he was in his 40s.
Oh, back
at the time.
Okay.
You know what? I respect that.
That was, he's like, I have no beef with the blowhard or the big fat pumpkin head or send back to England. I'm back in England. Like, you were right. But
you were right.
You did say I was in my 50s, and that was not true.
Hurtful.
All right, so let's see. We have the Johnny Depp trial clip, and then I'm not sure what the
Don't you have a New Rules supercut?
Yeah, we have. Oh, we have the New Rules supercut. That's right. Let's play the New Rules supercut. Thank you.
And finally, new rule: if something about the human race is changing at a previously unprecedented rate, we have to at least discuss it. Broken down over time, the LGBT population of America seems to be roughly doubling every generation. According to a recent Gallup poll, less than 1% of Americans born before 1946, that's Joe Biden's generation, identify that way. 2.6% of boomers do, 4.2% of Gen X, 10.5% of millennials, and 20.8% of Gen Z. Which means if we follow this trajectory, we will all be gay in 2054. In the wake of America about to lose abortion rights, the ACLU recently tweeted a list of those who would be disproportionately harmed by this. You would think women might top that list? No, wasn't even on the list. Second on the list was LGBT. Really? Abortion rights affects gay and trans people more than, breeders? I'm happy for LGBT folks that we now live in an age where they can live their authentic lives openly. And we should always be mindful of respecting and protecting. But someone needs to say it. Not everything's about you. And it's okay to ask questions about something that's very new and involves children. The answer can't always be that anyone from a marginalized community is automatically right, trump card, mic drop, end of discussion. Because we're literally experimenting on children. Maybe that's why Sweden and Finland have stopped giving puberty blockers to kids. Because we just don't know much about the long-term effects. Although common sense should tell you that when you reverse the course of raging hormones, there's going to be problems. We do know it hinders the development of bone density, which is kind of important if you like having a skeleton. Fertility and the ability to have an orgasm seem also to be affected. This isn't just a lifestyle decision, it's medical. Weighing trade-offs is not bigotry. Yes, Part of the rise in LGBT numbers is from people feeling free enough to tell it to a pollster, and that's all to the good. But some of it is, it's trendy. Penis equals man. Okay, boomer. Remember, the prime directive of every teen is anything to shock and challenge the squares who brought you up. It's why nobody gets a nose ring at 56. And if you haven't noticed that with kids, doing something for the likes is more important than their own genitals, you haven't been paying attention. If you attend a small dinner party of typically very liberal, upper-income Angelenos, it is not uncommon to hear parents who each have a trans kid having a conversation about that. What are the odds of that happening in Youngstown, Ohio? If this spike in trans children is all natural, why is it regional? Either Ohio is shaming them or California is creating them. Maybe childhood makes you sad sometimes, and there are other solutions besides hand me the dick saw. And look, I'm sure the vast majority of parents do not take this lightly, and that is very hard to know when something is real or just a phase. And I understand being trans is different, it's innate. But kids do also have phases. They're kids, it's all phases. The dinosaur phase, the Hello Kitty phase. One day they want to be an astronaut, the next day you can't get them to leave their room. Gender fluid, kids are fluid about everything. If kids knew what they wanted to be at age 8, the world would be filled with cowboys and princesses.
Yeah, very astute.
Yeah.
It was all good.
The dick saw line got me good last night,
Yeah.
too. Forgot about that.
Chris was saying that a friend of his at a local school has kids.
So he has a daughter just finished 8th grade.
Not for now.
And
Right.
Well, she came out to him,
There you go.
say as bi, and then it became known that about 70% of her class is bi, and then she just looked at me. It's like you kind of have to be when you go to that school, like when you go to school now, like everybody is. Like it's just how it is now. Like
That's going to make prom so fun, though.
yeah,
Oh,
Free for all.
like
Red Rover,
the
Red
majority
Rover.
of the kids are either bi or open to being bi and things like that. But they're just
I get that. What Bill said, I mean, what you might like it, you might not like it, but what was wrong with it? You know what I mean?
what's wrong with
Like
what?
he's saying, like, if this is who you are, and of course we're a more accepting society now, and people of Biden's generation weren't as comfortable saying, like, I'm bi, I'm trans, if they even knew what that was. But, and that's great. But is it everybody? Like, are we allowed to question that maybe the numbers are a little inflated or disingenuous just because of where we are at culturally? Like, he's asking that question. I think that's a perfectly okay question to ask.
I think the concern is there's a amount. So if you go, well, if in the 40s the number was suppressed
0.8,
because you couldn't
0.08.
say you were gay or bi or transitioning.
I think it was
'cause
just gay on that chart.
you would lose your job or
Right.
something. Well, I'll open it to everything. So you couldn't get into it. And then, so I think the goal would then be to create a society where anyone could be anything without fear of losing their job or repercussions socially or whatever it is. But then the fear would be if we then kept going past that mark.
The true number, whatever
So
it is.
if 0.8 were gay when Biden was born, that doesn't seem accurate. And then you get ahead to, 4% or 7% or whatever it is now. But then if we're 20%, well, then we're going into another realm where people are saying this or we're creating this to get along or to be part of a trend or to be part of a movement. I mean, because that's all kids do musically, fashion, whatever.
Find your tribe.
They just find their tribe. And then there's a bigger, it's not all just your tribe. There's a big tribe, which is being part of something. Like, I used to, it's like Black Lives Matter. All the kids in my kids' school that got into Black Lives Matter, they would have these parades, not parades, but these rallies where they would honk if it's just a bunch of 14, 15-year-old white kids holding up signs or whatever. All right. is this a thing? Is it not a thing? Is it important? What effect does it have? It doesn't matter. You guys all got sucked in to this thing to be accepted. Yeah. Then you get into the, well, all right, so who cares? I agree with basically with the who cares part, except for then when you start getting into altering yourself and you start that process at 13, 14, 15, well, now you have a group of people that may be doing damage to themselves on something that may not be easily reversible when they're 25, who did not wish to do it, but got caught up in the zeitgeist of the moment. And I think that's the fear.
Yeah, no, you hit on something that I think Bill was talking about. You had a good point. I think Bill was talking about like little kids, right? Like 6, 7, 8-year-olds, whatever. He said 8-year-olds at some point. But there's nothing more terrifying than a teenager with purpose. You know what I mean? Like this is very important to me right now at age 15 or whatever it is. It's like that will not be important to you unless it's a Transformer, of course. That will not be important to you, in 5, 10 years.
I'm very happy. I oftentimes think back on this little scenario I would play as a sort of deal with the devil. Like if you handed me a contract and you said, you handed me a contract when I was 14 and said, you're going to die at 55 years of age, but between now and then, you'll have beautiful long blonde hair that you could feather.
Oh,
I'd be like, give me that fucking contract.
Can't get my name on there fast
most
enough.
people die at 50 anyway?
I might sign that now.
I would sign that if they said, I will give you, $3,000 a week for the rest of your life, but I would have signed that deep into my 20s, into my early 30s. Like I would have made deals all over the fucking place and then lived to regret them, hopefully. So I think that's what he was tapping into. We got some calls
I'm
up
interested
here.
in line one, the perspective.
One is Highly 34 from Miami.
Hi, Guy.
Hi, Guy. Hi.
Hi, Lee.
So I was listening to the story last week with August not getting on your flight, and just wanted to give a little insight and talk about that a little bit as far as that gate agent. But first of all, we could agree that gate agent was an asshole, especially considering that they were getting radioed down that he was at the gate. Is that right?
Yes. Inside the plane.
So,
yes.
Right. And really, it comes down to the door, right? They always talk about the door. Once it's closed, it can't be opened. The whole reason, really, is as soon as that door closes, the flight officially departed. Oh. And all the airlines are after is the metrics of being on time and not getting delayed and all that.
Right.
Right. So, but so long as the door was open, there was no reason they couldn't let him down. Even if the flight was already late, if the door is open,
well, yeah, because the gate agent has to get out.
Well, Hailey, is there a scenario where the gate can be physically open like it was, but reported as closed?
Well, hold on a second. Let's distinguish between the gate and the airplane door.
Uh-huh.
The gate door was closed. The airplane door was open.
Also important.
And is the flight on time perspective or the on time calculation done by the gate door or the airplane door?
The airplane door. The gate door is more of the barrier for the passengers. It's kind of the, once that's closed, it's done, because usually the gate agent is going down to pull the jet bridge.
Right.
But the official door is the airplane door.
Okay, so the airplane door in this case was open because the gate agent was standing in the plane.
But again, is there a scenario where the door's physically open, but it's been marked as closed?
No, it's an electronic signal. Like, by the way, like us, the pilots and the flight attendants, we're not even getting paid until that door closes. So that's really the official metric.
Mm-hmm. So there's no real excuse for what they did.
If the door's officially open, then fucking A. Plane.
Oh yeah, especially if they're calling them and saying, "Hey, there's a passenger here," and they just didn't hear the radio or they ignored it or whatever. And there's no shortage of gate agents that just kind of do their own thing and like, nope, and have a little ego to them. So.
Yeah, the scariest people on the planet are the ego over nothing. We were talking about waving the person forward at the stoplight or the stop sign. I think back on that 3-way stop sign many years ago when I was trying to pull into my own driveway when I lived in an old house and someone pulled the other direction. And I was just like, go ahead, because I got to do a maneuver here to get into my driveway. And that guy was like, you go. And I was like, it's just go. And he was like, I'm not going. Like the scariest citizens are the take a stand people.
Over nothing.
They drive me nuts.
Yeah.
I don't, and then people go, well, you got to understand that person probably is in a loveless relationship. Well, then kill yourself, would you please?
Stay home.
Why are you going out into the populace and making everyone miserable? And then they go, that's the only power he has. Like, okay, so when you're holding a biscuit and your dog is underneath you, you have all the power in the world. Is that the kind of power that you want?
Yeah.
I have this
That's
biscuit.
That's all you got.
To me, that's a burden. That kind of power. When I used to teach comedy traffic school, people show up 2 hours late. I'd just be like, sit down. Who cares? You're a pilot, Hailey?
Yeah.
And is Hailey that's your on your driver's license?
That's it. Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm. God, if you're a pilot, if your last name is Qualified, you're coming to my airline, man.
Highly skyly.
Only pilots I hire are highly qualified.
Hailey, do you fly to Maui on any chance?
No, not yet.
There's a great restaurant called the Highly Miley General Store. You have to go.
You'll be like MacArthur returning to the Philippines. You'll be adorned with rose petals. Are you flying regional stuff? What are you flying?
Yep. Yeah, I'm at Endeavor. That's the Delta regional airline. So shorter Delta flights, 1 to 3 hours on the East Coast.
Are you guys with me, and maybe Hailey has some insight, as everyone in California starts thinking about the next chapter of their life, like where they can go? I was like, I'm checking the Jet Suite X routes.
Oh, yeah.
If you can get from Burbank, if Jet Suite X will go from Burbank directly to wherever, I could live there. That I could deal with.
P.F. Chang's and Jet
That's
Suite.
right.
Is Aspen or Oakland?
Right. Now they have one going to Dallas now, and they're opening them up.
Yeah, they're spreading out.
Any thoughts on that, Hailey?
What's that?
Jet Suite X is that?
Yeah. I mean, it's a pretty cool concept. You know, I've had some family flying on there. You know, it's kind of a cool little gig for people to feel like they're flying on a private jet, but obviously they're limited with their routes and whatnot. But it's a good concept. I don't have much experience or knowledge beyond that. Yeah.
We've talked about this, the real advantage, Hailey, and everyone. Yes, it's semi-private, it's a small plane, whatever. The terminal, skipping the gate, skipping the terminal.
That's the entire
That's the win. That's it. That's how you do it.
It's the entire victory of that.
We're in the terminal all day, every day, and it's chaos. I mean, you all fly plenty enough to know, but think about that. That's basically every week for us. So if you can avoid the terminal and you just enter through a little FBO through the private jet terminal to get on the flight, I mean, that's a huge advantage for sure.
Best.
I mean, you literally, Brian, you're 100% correct. That is all the advantage of that. Pull up, park, walk in. I don't know what kind of security you seem to stroll by in Burbank, play a little foosball, and then just walk onto the plane.
It's amazing. You get out of the Uber, park your car, and the plane is within sight.
Yes. Thanks, Hailey, for the insight.
You got it.
All right. Let's see. Line 2 is an Uber driver. Luke, 44, Davenport.
Wow. Hey, Adam. It's a joy to talk to you. How's it going?
Hi, Guy.
Hi, Guy. Hey, I picked up a couple of lawyers the other day at a union hall and drove them to a nice hotel, and they tipped me $1.
Oh, boy.
And I drive people to work at fast food restaurants. I drive people to work at Walmart. I dropped a girl off at rehab. And in general, like the average tip, like an Uber ride usually isn't that much, maybe $5. A lot of people tip $5. And these lawyers tipped $1 after bragging about some squad adjacent member of Congress that they were trying to fluff. And it just show, like, people show you who they are, where they spend their money.
Did you the chick you dropped off at rehab, was she hot?
She was.
So I feel
She
like
had a meth problem, but she was
I
smoking
feel
hot.
like you
She's
could
probably very thin.
turn to her and go, "This is your last chance for a mistake.
Right.
Like this is going to be
Get out of your system, girl.
This will be all those crazy things you
Yeah.
did. Blew the Uber driver by the side of the road just to get the $4 off the fare. Like
Put
this.
those 7.5 teeth to work.
That's right. You're going to write some kind of book, and I want to be in it.
Yeah.
But after I drive, after you walk through that front door,
Once that plane door's
the
closed.
shenanigans stop. So this is it, sweetie. Let me go ahead and recline my seat. Yeah. So she was hot. And the tipping, well, I've always heard, I dated a waitress for some time, or server, or whatever the fuck we call them now. And she was always a big tipper because the
Yeah.
deal was like, you got to tip, you know.
People in the
People-
restaurant industry are good tippers.
People that work in that world. But on the other hand, the last time, and when we do this thing all the time where it's like, and the rich guys, I went out and had one of my 3-hour dinners with Chris Morgan, Fast and Furious guy, a few weeks back. And he paid. He always pays. And he tips the guy. I don't know what the tip is.
Some people have FU money. He's got F8 money.
That's right. Fast 8. Here's how he tips the guy. The guy comes back. We shut the place down. The guy comes back at the end and he goes, I just want to make sure that this is right.
Sometimes it's too low. This time it's too perceived as super
Yes.
high.
Is this,
Yeah.
did you mean to do this kind of tip? And he's like, absolutely. And the guy's like, oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
So
That's nice.
God,
hero.
I aspire to get that someday.
fucking know what it was, but it had to be 110% or something.
That's badass.
So so there's that trope of like rich guys don't, but I know a lot of rich guys who do a lot of big fat tipping. So
Yeah, but tipping Luke $1 is how they stay rich.
You know, it's kind of like your Waffle House theory, which is like versus the high end restaurant. We talked about that at the live show, but I've noticed this with smaller checks, bars, breakfast diner type places. Like the thing's $10. Like, well, 20% is $2. Give the guy $4.
Who does
that? Yeah,
that?
give the guy $5.
there's a lot of those people out there.
Well, they're caught up in the math, and it's like
Right.
you're in the real world.
Yeah.
It's ordered a glass of wine. Give
Why
him
even
$5.
give a buck though?
Because that's 20%. Probably.
No,
gives
no.
for
I
the
mean,
driver.
in
I'm saying
Luke's-
on the Uber thing, it prompts you like, do you want to tip 20%? Do you want to tip 25%? Do you want to tip
was
30%?
there was 20
Afterwards,
was
you
a
can-
buck 20% of anything?
of $5?
Yeah, but
The
there's
app
a
usually
$5
gives you like $1, $3, and $5 options.
Oh, they just hit the one.
But okay, Luke, I'm so glad you're here because are you talking about the prompt after you get out of the car? Because then it's like,
Right.
do you want to tip more? I thought.
There's an option for other, and I've gotten $10 tips.
Yeah.
People are generally great tippers because they're appreciative to get a ride because nobody wants to work right now.
Luke, what should you be doing other than driving an Uber?
What should I be doing? I'm applying for jobs that are, more career type skill sets, but this is kind of a temporary.
How much can
thing.
you make with Uber? By the way, you'll be driving an Uber in Iowa. Sounds like a threat that your stepdad makes when you go, I'm not taking the SATs, old man.
You stay home this morning.
I got all the smarts I need already. You'll be driving an Uber in Iowa, bucko.
Davenport, Iowa.
Buckeye.
Buckeye. Yeah. So how much can you make driving that Uber? And now gas is
$200 a day.
All right.
It's not nothing.
And what's gas over there in Iowa?
$4.10-ish.
We'll be there in 3 hours.
Yeah.
Live show.
Worth $7 over here. All right. Thanks,
Ouch.
Luke. I know,
Thank you so much.
literally. All right. Let's see. Last call up here. Talk to Ron, 46 from Michigan. Ron.
What's happening, people?
Hi, guy.
The real question with that guy is, does he give that little 3-ounce bottle of water? Because he might have earned that $1 tip.
Oh, yeah. The water. Yeah.
Provide thing.
We really need to be accountable, right?
Yeah.
The thing that stands out to me with a lot of this support of trans children, and I'm not a homophobe at all, but I have 3 children, and I don't let them drink. I don't let them get tattoos. I don't let them smoke. They're 15, 13, and 11.
Suck
And the reason... the reason why is I don't want them to be exposed to things that they could be confused about. And there's so many children right now that are sexually assaulted because they're not sure of their own sexuality. And I just find it perplexing that parents would want to introduce this unknown to a child, and that there are droves of people who, in turn, are supporting more confusing information to be dropped on children.
Ron, sorry, I'm confused about kids are more apt to be molested if they're confused about their sexuality.
Sexually assaulted.
Listen, I think that children who are sexually assaulted generally are manipulated by adults with bad intentions. And I think it has a lot to do with lack of acceptance. They get manipulated by someone who tries to give them love or affection that they weren't receiving elsewhere. And I think that longing of connection with someone can be manipulated also with children who might not be comfortable or know fully what their sexuality is.
But if their parents accept them for who they are, then they won't go looking for a predatory adult to molest them.
No, it's a valid point, and I'm not against gay people, or I believe that people are born gay. But I do think that Bill Maher's comments regarding it being a fad, I think you could liken that to how in 1989 through 91, the most poignant black civil rights activist was Malcolm X. How many Malcolm X hats do you see worn right now?
Not a lot.
Not a lot. It's just people.
Yeah, I get
things,
it.
right?
I think the problem with Gina, is when you go, well, you just accept me for who I am, except for when you're 14, I don't know that you know who you are. I just know that
I was responding specifically to what you said about looking for an adult to accept you.
It's a valid response, Gina, just to be clear. I just think that more kids are apt to not know who they are versus know who they are.
Well, the other thing is a parent, if your kid just announces they're bi, see, there's a whole different calculation, which is when your daughter or your son, but mostly your daughter, that's the society we have, when the young boys come over to visit, and they're going to be in the bedroom, it's like, you got to leave the door open, and where are you guys going, and what do you mean you're taking a jacuzzi, and all that kind of stuff.
Sure. Right.
And then when the young girls come over, you let your guard down, I'll be in my office, do whatever you want. Right. But if you've opened it up sexually to everyone on the planet, essentially, then the young boys and the young girls, that door stays open. But your question was, do I think Bill Maher will eventually get canceled?
Yeah, that's the thing I was going to connect with. Is like at some point, what he's doing is he's starting to dip into the middle, and I just see that ending poorly for him. And I enjoy him. I'm a conservative, but I still enjoy listening to him, and I just think he's going into waters that are going to be very difficult for him to swim out of.
I think Bill is moving at about the pace the country's moving at, judging. I mean, what do I know? I just did the show 72 hours ago, so how could I possibly comment on this?
About it. Jesus
but the
Christ.
audience. Yeah. So here's where you will get canceled, slapped, and beaten down. If you are a few years ahead of where we're going as a country, you shall be punished because you'll be a heretic.
Right.
It will be.
We're not there yet.
We're not there. But if you are just a little bit ahead, and he's just a little bit ahead of, many of the things I said 10 years ago, Bill is saying now, I get beaten up for him. He gets to be this sort of guy who heralds some new truth or is on the vanguard of something. So, whether it's COVID or sexuality, you don't want to be a couple years out ahead of the game. You'll get the shit slapped out of you. But you can be
on the crest,
right in the leading the parade. You can lead the parade, but you can't get separation from the parade by 3 or 4 miles. Then you're just out on your own with a big fur hat and a baton.
You can't be the town crier announcing there will be a parade next week.
High stepping.
Right.
Dotting the I.
High stepping. That's right. So I think what Bill is doing is he is moving along at this pace that kind of makes him sort of on the vanguard of this stuff, but on the vanguard of something that is kind of bubbling and existing and trending versus who? What the fuck? What is this guy talking about? And he's positioned himself. And then one could also argue that he's moving it along.
Yeah.
He is. It's not just him
Forcing
leading it.
uncomfortable conversations.
They could be drafting
He's
him.
he's an ambassador. He's an ambassador almost.
Right, but I also here's what I'm starting to realize. Be it Bill Maher, the aforementioned Piers Morgan, or even Ben Shapiro, Howard Stern, whoever the voices are out there. People make room for people who believe what they're saying. They don't like it sometimes. They'll try to beat up on you, but they'll generally go, well, at least that's what he thinks. And no one can ever say about Bill Maher, that's not what he thinks.
Right.
He's just playing to his constituency, one side or the other, or he's trying to whatever. If we think you're authentic, we will sort of step back and make some room for you. At least we're getting there now. There's more of seems to be more of an appreciation for authenticity. I don't know, Dave Chappelle. Everyone goes, I don't know, he says this, he says that. But it's like, hey, I believe he believes what he's saying, and that's hopefully where we're headed.
Bill's in a sweet spot vis-a-vis cancellation because he's entered that aforementioned Howard Stern / Charles Barkley territory where his part of his brand is say provocative or edgy things, and make jokes about things. And he's also not, in the politically incorrect ABC mold, which is generally very risk averse. He's with HBO where it's like, yeah, say whatever you want.
Yeah.
More subscriber driven.
Right. He's not traffic copping. He's getting to say it.
They might not want to pay him at some point, and thus they might cancel him. But in terms of doing his thing, he's in a sweet spot.
Also, just when I was researching for the show, his net worth's $190 million.
Oh, you think he's going to land on his feet?
He's going to be okay.
No kids, no alimony, no real drug problem.
He's a goddamn
to foot the bill
genius.
for. He's set.
Yeah.
You pull every single plug tomorrow, and Bill would be fine. And then also, he can go out and do gigs.
Yeah,
he can
dates.
go out and sell theaters out wherever he wants. So he's not really cancelable. And that's kind of why he gets left alone for the most part as well. All right, let's see. Our guest is not here yet, but maybe
busy selling houses.
Busy selling. I love selling Sunset. I love that show.
I actually watched that show.
It's fun. It's got. I'm more there for the actual
hot bitches,
architectural porn than the hot bitches. But and God, did they wear some heels on that show? And
lots of heels.
Jason's a short guy, and everyone in his office wears 9-inch stiletto heels, which suck.
All the Amazonian models are towering over him.
Yes. He may just have pulled up or walked in, so we can talk to him about that in a second. First, I'll tell you about Freshly. Take the stress out of cooking. Freshly. Quality meals without the hard work. Designed by nutritionists, cooked by chefs, delivered fresh, ready to eat in just 3 minutes. At the end of a long day, takeout shouldn't be your only option. They have so many great selections, so many different varieties, top shelf ingredients all the way around. Use the Freshly website or app to find meals that fit your lifestyle, dietary needs, taste, and family size. Choose from over 50 nutritionist-designed entrees. New meals added weekly, and you can skip the groceries, grocery store and the long lines and the dirty dishes, and go with Freshly. Right, Dawson?
Stop stressing about dinner. Right now, Freshly is offering our listeners $125 off your first 5 orders when you go to freshly.com/ACS. That's $125 off at freshly.com/ACS.
Well, the rooster in the hen house, I should say, is selling Sunset on Netflix. Jason Oppenheim in studio next.
And now, a totally innocuous word that sounds dirty when Mike Dawson says it.
Spread.
Ew. Let's get back to the Adam Carolla Show.
All right, Jason Oppenheim from Selling Sunset is going to walk in here in just a second. Who's out putting the finishing touches on a phone call out in the parking lot. That's what important guys do. That's what Mark Garagos does. Comes here, he sits in his car, finishes phone calls.
Yeah, it's a power move.
I'm curious. I have some nuts and bolts questions for Jason, which is, you hear about all these real estate places now. I see these commercials and stuff like, we'll sell your house for 1%. I'm always like, really? And then I'm curious how negotiable the percentage is when you're doing like a $65 million estate versus $650K. Not that those exist anymore. Hey, Jason, come in, have a seat. Have many real estate related questions for you to answer.
All right.
Just
Right here?
pop on your headphones and slide on up. Get close into the microphone. Selling Sunset on Netflix, 5th season premiered April 22nd. Full season available now on Netflix. It's I guess I call it a guilty pleasure, but I love architecture. I love building, and that used to be my profession. So I do love real estate, but it's fun to watch a show as well.
Yeah, there's a lot. I think it checks a lot of boxes for people. You know, real estate, Los Angeles, Sunset Strip. You know, beautiful women, beautiful guys.
Yeah, everyone's good looking. That's how it works. I also get pissed off when the couple where the guy's 27 and she's 24 or low. That's like, it's 47 million, so it's in our budget. I'm like, what the fuck? When I was 27, I lived in Lockport Center with 3 dudes in a rented house.
I'm supposed to have a budget.
Slide the mic up to you there, Jason, just to do it. So how did this all begin for you? You were doing it long before the show started.
Yeah, we got
the show
approached.
start?
We got approached by different producers and agents. You know, over about a year and a half period. My brother and I were not interested, so we were reticent to do a show. The office was doing very well. The brokerage was doing well. We were growing at an incredible rate. We just thought way more risk than reward on doing a reality show. Also, not someone who's ever watched reality TV, so it wasn't really my thing, my genre. So, we kept saying no. Adam and Skylar called, and they came with a resume of doing The Hills and Laguna Beach, which I had not watched, but I'd certainly heard of those shows. And, we said no to them as well at first. And then they were very persistent, just asked to come in the office and meet everyone, and we did that. Kind of, I could see that there was a lot of interest, at least from the other people in the office. And just slowly, I think my brother and I talked about the fact that, maybe it would be okay, you only live once type of thing. They talked us into doing like a 5-minute sizzle reel. They talked about, sending it to Netflix and doing a pilot. We're like, okay, kept like they kind of walked us through the little baby steps, and we got more and more into it to the point where we said, let's do it.
Do you, as the boss, because I've been in this position before, which is like you're shooting a reality show, and then the reality show is like, we're going to rebuild my dad's old house and sell it. I did that show. And so your crew is working on the show, and you're paying your crew, and you're there to work. And at some point, the producers go, we think it'd be really funny if the whole crew went to Chuck E. Cheese and we had a whack-a-mole tournament. And then I'm like, we got to finish the fucking house. And then like, yeah, this is good TV. Come over here. We'll film you guys. Let's go boot shopping with Ozzy. And then I go, no. I want to finish this
demo out this
project.
bathroom.
Like at some point, you're in the series, but you're also the boss, and you like want to get property sold and things taken care of.
Well, I thought that there was going to be like a real estate show. That was kind of the idea I had in mind. I wanted to get into the nuance of like, every little detail of a transaction. I probably would have had the most boring show on television. It probably would have lasted about 2 episodes, and everyone, would have canceled it. So looking back, I realized that I had no idea about reality TV. I think that Adam and Skylar have created an amazing show, and I'm super glad we did it. But by no means did I know what I was getting into.
So what is the standard VIG that you get for selling a house? Is it 4%? Is it
I get 5.5%. I ask a little bit more than most other agents.
And does that vary, or is that negotiable on a house that's over $50 million, for instance?
Yes. So we got into an escrow today at $35 million, and it's a total 4% commission, so 2% to our side. You get it over 20, and it usually goes down to 4%, from 5 to 4. Well, 5 is kind of what most people charge. We ask for a little bit more. Everything is negotiable. I mean, when I was an attorney, rates were negotiable. I mean, the professional sets what they want, just like a contractor. They give you a bid, and you can say no. You can go get another bid from another contractor. You can go get another agent to reduce their commission. A lot of my competitors reduce their commission. So it's certainly negotiable. I don't negotiate, but but that means that I'm willing to walk away.
Yeah, well, I'm guessing all the exposure on Netflix probably helped the business, right?
It has, yeah.
I was walking down PCH the other day. I know you guys do some selling in Malibu, I think.
Yeah, a little bit.
There's a couple of houses going up on Carbon Beach that are like triple lots, and I stand and marvel at this one with this poured concrete edifice in front of it, and it's like steel construction. And I'm like, is that thing 50 million or is that thing 75 to 80 million, like the triple lot mega
Well, the land
mansion?
alone is probably 50 million.
Jesus.
So I'd imagine the house is more like 150 million.
150.
There are a lot of homes now selling for over 100 million. I mean, I've only been in the business 12 years, but when I started, and even up through, 2015, there were no such thing as even a $30 million house was almost unheard of. Then a couple of years later, we were seeing 40, 50, 60, 80. I mean, and they were selling like crazy. And now, I mean, you don't even blink at anything under 100 million now. I mean, now you're seeing 150, 200 million. Now there's land selling for 50 to 100 million. It's just the wealth is crazy. I never could have. And it's all domestic consumption. When it started out, it was international consumption of these big houses, Malaysian money, Russian money. And now it's probably 85% domestic consumption, which is just crazy. I can't even imagine what's going to happen, with the COVID restrictions gone and a lot of foreigners coming back here. And I think it's going to be, and we have no supply. So I'm not too concerned about pricing right now. I think we're.
When you say supply, you mean inventory?
Yeah,
There's
inventory.
nothing for sale in that range.
There's nothing for sale in any range right now. It's the lowest inventory, I think, in the history of real estate, at least in the last 50 years.
Why is that? Why do you think that is?
It's a combination of a lot of things. One, and it's actually I think it's going to get worse. First, there's supply, constraint issues. And building costs have gone crazy. So that's stopping, new supply from coming on. Second, just a lot of people don't want to sell. The house has become more important than probably ever before, largely because of COVID. And now interest rates are going up. So there are people, I'm an example. I've got a 30-year fixed rate at like 2.7%. Why would I sell my house?
Yeah.
To go buy a house and pay 4.5% interest. I mean, a lot of people are like, even if they were going to do a lateral move, now they're not.
It's not lateral.
It's not lateral because even if you sell for 4 and you want to go buy something else, you're paying $5,000-$10,000 more a month than you otherwise would have.
I posted today, just if you want to see it on Twitter, at Gina Grad, somebody on TikTok showed a $699,000 house in Burbank. It is a one-room shack with 2 AC units and a small backyard with a really bad, really old brown shag rug. The kitchen is in the living room. That is $699,000.
Oh, and it's going to get 20 offers and go into multiples.
All cash.
Well, I don't. That's the part that I don't understand because I was an attorney at a large law firm, top salary in LA, making $250,000 a year, thinking I'm balling, I'm doing well, saving some money, scraped up $100,000. And I'm just thinking, if I was an attorney still, and I was in law school, I top law school. I mean, arguably pretty successful in the professional world back then. And yet the type of house that you would be buying if I was still there is like a rundown shack off Laurel Canyon, with maybe air conditioning if I'm lucky. I mean, it's just absolutely insane how you could be a professional making that much money and what you can buy with that money right now.
Yeah, so I'm going to ask you, Chris, that the picture of the place on PCH, I'll bring that up to Jason and see if he can tell me what he thinks that thing is.
I think I saw this last weekend. They made a lot of progress.
By the way, that steel alone is probably $2 million.
Right, and the foundation is $10 million because they're building it on the sand.
Well, and that's
more.
The most expensive building because it's so shifty.
So I'm just going to ask you to speculate.
Okay.
So I walk up and down the beach at Carbon Beach, right? And everything is, 25, 30 million bucks or whatever, smaller, whatever. But there's one place, and it's like a triple wide lot built in the 60s, falling apart. Like literally the deck is falling into the sea. Just an eyesore and a mess. And I stop and I look at it, and it's been that way for a long ass time. Nobody lives there. It's right in the middle of Carbon Beach, like billionaires beach, literally. Yeah. And it's definitely it could be a triple lot, for sure a double lot. And then you look at it and you go, that place was built in 1963. some school teachers live there to speak. Now the lawyer couple can't afford a house in Reseda, but back then the school teacher couple could live in Malibu in the 60s. Somebody's there, somebody's dead, somebody's kids are fighting. I don't know what the fuck is going on. The land is $40 million. It was all paid for by 1979. Why is it just sitting here? They're literally being claimed by the sea. Someone's alive. Is somebody fighting over this? There can't just...
It happens quite a bit. And I'll tell you that there are agents knocking on those doors every single day because when they see that. And a lot of times it's just, older people and they don't care. They don't need the money. I mean, I hear it all the time. They just don't need the money and they don't care. It's usually what it is.
Yeah, I can never figure it out. I'm always assuming the parents have moved on and the kids are going at it over who's. But you're saying.
But the kids will go at it and resolve it because they usually want the money.
Right.
So it would sit for a year or two.
Right.
But sitting year after year after year, it's just some dude that doesn't give a shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not worth two 75-year-old people uprooting their lives.
Because the lot is $40 million.
Oh, probably 40 to 60, probably depending on how many lots it is.
Jesus goddamn Christ!
And it would sell. I mean, that's some of the most desirable land in LA.
Is there any end in sight? Or is it just I'll put it to you this way: I bought my first house in Hollywood Land, 1923.
That's when you bought the house.
Oh, wow!
Yeah,
you and Howard Hughes.
That's right. The house was from 1923, and it was falling apart, but I got in there and I did it up. And I paid $350,000 for it. This is 1996, I think. And at some point, somebody offered me, I don't know, $550 for it, like in 2004 or something. And my realtor said, "Oh, you should take it." And I went, "I'm not in any hurry to sell. And it'll just go up over the years." And she said, "It's never going to be $1 million house." And I said, "I don't know. Why wouldn't it be? Like, you ever go to the steakhouse and they print you they have the menu from 1931?
Yes.
It's like T-bone steak, $89. Glass of hot cocoa, 10 cents. You're like, I don't know. I feel like we're stopping at a steak that would cost $27 and go, it's never going to be $80. Oh, yes, I guess it is, right? Or might we revert?
I don't think over the long run, real estate's going to slow down. I mean, there will be dips and valleys, and of course there'll be like ups and downs as we have recessions. But I think arguably the same as the stock market. I don't think there's anyone that I've ever met who has held real estate in the long term and not done extremely well. I mean, I imagine a $10 million house now will at some point be worth $50 million. I don't know if that's in 30, 40, or 50 or 60 years, but I mean, it's gonna get there. And there's just an exorbitant amount of wealth in this country. And unfortunately, there's a huge chasm of wealth, and dichotomy of wealth. But there are a ton of super wealthy people, and people always ask me, like, where my clients come from. It's so random. I mean, it is so random, but there's so many of them. It's you name it, and they just have, young people. I mean, I leased my house out to a 17-year-old, at $50,000 a month.
Let me guess, YouTube.
That's
my guess.
It's not YouTube,
world.
it's similar. In that world, yeah.
Wow, 17.
Yeah.
Motherfucker.
I know.
Can I ask Jason a question? Only because the example you gave is my wife and I right now, which is the family that we bought our house in West LA in 2011. Relatively cheap by today's standards.
Great timing.
Did very well in the house. When FYI, we're in the where the Google's going into the West Side Tavern, so it's a really hot area. But that lateral move, like we're at a low APR, like you are the low interest rate, like you are, and it's like where does one go? Where is someone in that position?
So
like you've
rent
done well,
it.
And
rent
now
it.
what?
Don't sell if you have a 30-year fixed under 3%.
Okay,
is my
that's
opinion.
us. Sure.
Because I think that loan itself is extremely valuable. I would rent the house out and then go buy something else. And you can use that rental. That's what I do. So I buy a house and then I rent it out. I show that income coming in. It wipes that debt off my balance sheet. And then I go buy another one. And the lenders don't care how many homes you buy as long as you're renting them out. So you can just continually build your
Do you
portfolio.
need a history of rental, or can you be like this house is now?
No, just show a rental contract,
Okay.
and the lender
That's
will wipe that. Not only will they wipe that debt off, but if you're making more on the rent, then it'll add as income.
That's really
You can
good
own- you
advice.
can-
You've done this before.
That's how I built my wealth. Is just buying homes and then renting them, and then telling the bank I want to buy another home.
Do you renovate as well?
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting more and more annoyed at renovations. Just I spend too much. I'm too OCD, and it's too stressful. So I'm trying to dial that down. But yeah, I'm remodeling 2 penthouses right now. I'm going to put them on the market in a couple months. I just hire my friends to do it now. It's so much easier.
When you say OCD, like you notice grout joints being uneven and stuff like that?
I mean, I did one house for myself. I was a nightmare. I was stressed out. Everyone was stressed out. People walking off the jobs. I mean, my mind is not meant to do a remodel. I'm way too particular. Grout would drive me nuts if it wasn't the right color, if it wasn't straight, if it was too thick. If it had a little minor hairline crack in it. I mean, I'm not meant for this.
Yeah, well, the problem is when you notice everything, most stuff isn't done right. So you can't just say, I notice stuff and then I'm okay with it. You notice it and you notice it's wrong. And then you go nuts and then you drive everyone else. And
and then it's compounded by the fact that I just see cool homes all day. So I'm like, I want that or that wine cellar. It's so you combine all the things I want with my OCD and then my controlling nature.
What's the most expensive home you've sold?
I think high 30s. Although we're in another escrow in the high 30s as of last night. I was in escrow on one for 92, but the seller didn't care about the money and didn't sell.
Wow. How did that work?
I mean, without being specific, some perfect example. Just some people don't need it and just really don't care. We'll see. Maybe he gets more in the future. I don't know.
But they put it up.
Yeah, why did they bother?
Yeah, put it up for 100. It was an amazing offer. I mean, I thought 92. I mean, that's insane. But no, he just, I'll just wait till I get 100.
Wow.
That's
F me money.
F me money, as we like to say.
Yeah.
So we had Carolla on the show. I know you guys dated for some time, right? I saw you guys all over TMZ.
Yeah, we did.
On vacation and everything. I don't want to get too personal here, but...
well, I just won't answer if it's too personal, but you can ask.
I heard that maybe you guys broke up because she wanted to start a family and you didn't?
Yeah, that's the gist of it.
Do you want kids?
Oh, it just went like... Is that,
Now we're all very interested.
I was going to say, it just went sound like...
weird.
Even the AC is interesting.
Oh, fine. That's a good question because I went through that process during my relationship with Carolla, and I think I had started off maybe more inclined, and I think that just as I thought about this, I obsessed about this for a long time, and the truth is I don't know. I mean, clearly not now, but I don't want to pretend to know, nor do I ever try to pretend to know the future. So I'm not going to box myself in on that. I'm just someone who just listens to how I feel, and if that changes, that's fine. I don't think there's a right answer. I definitely feel like there's a lot of pressure on people in society to kind of do certain things, whether it's raise a family or there are a lot of things. I've tried to ignore the societal pressures and try to figure out what's best for me. And Carolla never pressured me either. I mean, we went into that relationship. She was very honest about what she wanted, and she was just a perfect girlfriend and allowed me to go through that process. And unfortunately, because it was a huge loss, unfortunately, we decided that we weren't on the right page. But I don't want to pretend that I know the answer. Where I'll be in a few years, in 5 years, in 10 years. I just don't know.
So the show, we're having a little static. I don't know. We'll figure it out. The show is, I don't know where it's ranking on Netflix, but everyone seems to like it and everyone seems to know it. It's number one.
Well, I don't know if it's number one this week, but it was number one when it came out.
And no slowing down. Did it take a while to catch on, or was it a hit right out of the gate?
No, it kind of clicked on the radar, season one. Season two, actually, interestingly, because I'm a numbers guy, so I track everything. Every season has gotten more popular, which is extremely unlikely. I don't even know if there's another show that's had 5 seasons of at least on Netflix, of increased popularity. About probably 25% per season. I'm just kind of roughly. So it just keeps growing. And anyone who says they expected that is full of shit, because nobody had any idea that that the show would be this successful. I mean, it was just like, let's have some fun, and why not? And it's just been just along for the ride now, and I think everyone is just along for the ride at this point. And maybe it keeps growing. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. My brother and I, when we first started this, we said, you know what? If we get to season 3, that's the cake. Anything above season 3 is icing. Like, that's success. So now, right now, Brett and I just feel like we're cruising on the icing.
Where'd you guys grow up?
Bay Area.
And it was, how do you like having a twin? I mean, I have
Best
twins,
thing.
but they're boy-girl twins, so.
Best thing that could happen to any human being is an identical twin, like hands down.
Wow.
Well, let's talk about the perks of that, because I never know, I guess some people would go, I hated it, or I didn't feel like I had an identity, or my mom would dress us the same way, or whatever their horror stories were, and then other people. Yeah. I guess in a weird way, it's kind of like adoption. Like, some people look at the total blessing, and then others look at it as, I was, given up. I wasn't lovable enough, or whatever it is. But for you, best thing ever.
I think for most identical twins, best thing ever. You have a built-in support structure, someone that you can trust and rely on, and share things with, good and bad. You can't. It's like. It may even be why, like, I'm just so satisfied in my life. I mean, I think it's maybe a reason why people get married or have families. I mean, they want purpose. They want that connection, with another human being. The level of connection that you have with an identical twin can be unmatched. I mean, I think there's probably some twins who don't, who make the best of that situation. But it's like having a best friend times 20, because there's no such thing. I have friends that I've had for my whole life, and I consider my friends like my family. But there's something about an identical twin that is such a bond that is unbreakable, to the point where it's like, it'd be like having a wife and a best friend, but yet you could never get divorced or break up,
Do you feel like, in a bizarre way, I've never had this thought before, but I'll say it out loud. We've all been disappointed by those in our lives. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's a marriage, sometimes it's a friend, sometimes it's a family, parent, it's just family member, whatever. But in a way, I guess when you have an identical twin, you must kind of feel like, in a way, they'd be you or them, they or you. If they're fucking you over, they're fucking them over. Is there a weird kind of blurry line there? Like, you could never fuck over your brother because in a weird way you'd be fucking over you?
I mean, I would never fuck over my brother because I love him more than I love myself. I mean,
everyone says that, but...
But that's the answer. I never think about it as fucking over myself. The level of love that I have, and it is reciprocal, is literally, I love him more than I love myself. I mean, I want more for him than I want for myself. I would die for him. I wouldn't die for anybody else. So I don't think you can even put into words like how it feels to like feel that way about somebody and know that they feel that way about you, and then know that they always have your best interest. Doesn't mean that we don't fight, and oh my God, we fight.
Wait a minute. How do we know you're not your brother right now? How do we know you didn't just send your brother in to talk about how much love there was?
That is such talk from a non-twin, because the only thing we think about as non-twins are what pranks can you pull? How do you get one over
dating
on somebody else?
switcheroos, am I right, bro?
The teacher had no idea.
Dangerous.
Did you get into that stuff in like high school?
I mean, we had a little bit of fun, but I mean, not really. It's never really our thing.
And so you loved it then, growing up. You still do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, we had a childhood that was very rocky, and going through that with him, I wouldn't have got through it without him. So very much.
What was rocky about your childhood?
A lot. I mean, our parents divorced when we were about 5, and then my mom raised us as a single mom who was working all the time. So it was difficult. I'd see my dad every other weekend, but it was pretty difficult. We were smart and argumentative and got in trouble a lot, and eventually halfway houses, correctional facilities, boarding schools, 6 expulsions between the two of us.
Oh, really?
I mean, barely graduated high school.
Hope we got your mom a house.
She's good. Well, actually, so I'm super close with my mom and my dad. I'm extremely close. But the first 18 years were very, very difficult.
So it was like a lot of acting out?
Oh, yeah, I was incorrigible. I mean, we had been arrested and been in jail probably 3 or 4 times. No respect
together?
for authority. Well, we did have a rule that if someone's getting arrested, the other person gets arrested. So, yeah, we would make sure that
so
they would
sweet.
arrest both of us.
What kind of stuff were you getting into?
I mean, mostly like, juvenile shit, like drinking, fighting, stealing, just stupid shit. Like, just imagine like just a kid that just, was upset or whatever, and just incorrigible and didn't care about authority. Yeah, it was just times two. And then we would fight with each other. We had, we'd run away, like whatever, you name it. Just
look at young
those
pictures of you.
Shayna
Yeah.
Ponhams.
Want those locals forever.
Were you guys? Well, then how you get from there to law school?
So we weren't able to get into any college really out of high school. I mean, it was when I say barely graduate, I mean I think I was like 330 out of like 340 kids on the GPA level.
Oh, you guys are the same.
What was where was I, Chris? 398 out of 550?
That's pretty good.
That's not that bad.
So 498, I think, out of 550.
498 is different.
That changes
497 out of.
As long as I beat my brother, that's all I cared about. So.
497 out of
570.
570. But a lot of those kids moved away.
Yeah, died, moved, in jail.
So how did you get to law school?
So we went to. So my dad was a community college professor. So we went to the local community college. My dad is a two-tour Vietnam vet, super serious dude. When we both got expelled, when we were like 16 or something, he took us in. Really, woke us up at 5 a.m., work out in the garage, dressed me. I was literally crying because he would drop me off. I was wearing baggy clothes and jewelry and long hair, and he just tried to clean me up. It was a nightmare for a while, but he just basically went military on us. We started straightening up, got a job as a waiter and that type of thing, and went to community college, where he was able to monitor us because he was our professor as well as knew all of our other professors. Did really well there. Both were able to transfer to Berkeley. Graduated in first and second at Berkeley, went on to top law schools. And, school was pretty much our we were always very capable in school. We just never applied ourselves.
2 tours in Nam.
Yeah.
What branch was your dad?
Oh, Marines.
Wow.
Goddamn.
That's hardcore.
Oh, yeah. He's a hardcore dude.
So
he still rides Harley. He's in a Harley gang, like a Vietnam vet Harley gang.
Really?
To this day.
So he was just grunt on the ground?
Yeah, I mean, he's a brilliant PhD, Berkeley dude, but he's also like blue collar, Marine as well. He's an interesting character.
All right, you want to hang with us while we do some news, by the way?
Go.
Let me hit Tommy John first. Tommy John, summer heat, melting your ice cubes, stay frosty where it counts, in brand new Tommy John underwear. You'll be that much cooler. You'll do everything that much better. Breathable.
I'm wearing Tommy John. Boom.
There you are.
Welcome,
Are you
guys.
kidding?
Big old name on the band right
I'm
there.
wearing mine right now as well. You will not go back to what you were formerly wearing once you get into that Tommy John. It actually keeps you 7 degrees cooler, up to 7 degrees cooler than cotton in the Tommy John Apollo underwear. Tommy John, they don't have customers. They have fanatics. Over 17 million pairs sold. I'm wearing mine. Now Jason is wearing his as well. It's the best pair you'll ever wear, or it's free. Guarantee. Am I right, Dawson?
Shop TommyJohn.com/Adam right now for 20% off your first order. Get 20% off right now at TommyJohn.com/Adam. TommyJohn.com/Adam. See site for details.
All right, Jason's going to hang with us. Take a quick break. We'll do the news right after this. Jason's dad actually jarred a memory for me of an old comedy bit I used to do. We reviewed Acme Theater, and John McCann was a really funny writer and a guy I worked with, and we used to write those funny bits. But he had 2 bits I always loved. He had Skipper Ned Heen, the guy who was going to work for the Neptune Society, and then they were going to go have adventure burials, and they were going sport fishing after they dumped the remains off the side. But he had another bit called Marine Biologist, and he was a Marine who was taking over a junior college biology class, and I can't remember where it was, like Conejo Junior College. He just went up there and said, like, Mr. So-and-so is not here today. I'm taking over. I'm a Marine of biology, whatever. Marine. It was play on Marine Biologist, but I can't remember what he said, but he went, "You will address me in a clear and present tone, not the voice you use to con drug money off your liberal parents. And that was, and the whole bit was then that, like the Marine who was talking to the burnout junior college. But your dad inspired that thought.
Yeah, he straightened me out. So all the credit to him.
What did he teach in college?
Sociology and computer science, but mainly sociology.
Marine sociology. It's not as funny.
No, it doesn't work.
A marine biologist. That works.
That is really funny. Well, speaking of bits, Saturday, SNL bid farewell to 4 SNL cast members. Pete Davidson, Kate McKinnon, Adie Bryant, and Kyle Mooney did their last episodes as cast members over the
Keenan
weekend.
comes back for year 35.
Keenan isn't leaving. He's been on the show since 2003.
That's crazy.
Kate had been on the show for 11 seasons, 80 on for 10, Kyle for 9, Pete for 8. On Weekend Update, Pete, who's getting his own sitcom, by the way, on Peacock, I think it's called Bubkiss. He said, I appreciate SNL always having my back. He went on and on and on about his love for Lorne Michaels. And not funny, just more heartfelt.
What?
Yeah.
Not funny.
Not super funny. But I did watch the whole thing. I did watch the whole show. And you are correct, sir, because we've talked about this a lot. We talked about it as recently as Huntington Beach Sea Leg Show, where in Rotten Tomatoes, we talked about Weekend at Bernie's. And basically saying, like, nobody's really seen it or nobody really liked it, but it is a cultural touchstone that people use to this day. Well, guess what? On SNL, there was a whole bit. It was a play on 9 to 5. It's 3 women, like the Jane Fonda, Dolly Parton, whatever, Lily Tomlin. And it's called like 9:15 to 8 or to 5:10 or whatever. So they basically kill their boss, which is Mr. Dooley, played by Natasha Lyonne, and have to pretend like he's still alive. Fred Armisen, who I think was in like a really long-term relationship with Natasha Lyonne, I think that's probably why he was on, came on to do this sketch where they are doing Weekend at Bernie's because this concept won't go away. Here's just a minute of it. So anyway, this concept is not going away.
Well, it's funny. It'll go away for... Sometimes it'll go away for a while, and then we'll figure out that, Weekend at Biden. Joe Biden. He's like the dead president. It's Weekend at Bernie's in the Oval Office.
We'll always find a way.
It comes back.
Yes.
It comes back again. That's how we do it.
So we have some more info on the dude who tackled Dave Chappelle at the Hollywood Bowl.
Oh, what a delight.
Yeah. We're always like, he's a crazy person, and we leave it at that. There's so much more to the story, and I can't believe it didn't come up on Bill Maher's show. Maybe it wasn't out just then. Well, the guy who attacked Chappelle said he was triggered by the gay and trans jokes, among other things, in an interview he did with New York Post.
Can I say this?
Yeah.
If you're walking around and you possess a trigger, I would like to put you somewhere away from me. I don't want you triggered by anything. I don't want a car backfire to trigger you to go on a killing spree. I don't want to start, no offense, your dad, but you hear helicopter overhead and all of a sudden
that was a comedic trope during the 80s.
You're back with Charlie, or Dave Chappelle makes a trans joke. You shouldn't have a trigger. There shouldn't be any triggers.
In 9th grade, we had a substitute that we had all the time who would always warn us that he was a Vietnam vet and we weren't to make any sudden moves or loud noises.
Yeah.
Well, I used to sneak in to the window late at night from my dad's house, and I would always think he was going to shoot me. So I would always be like, Dad, it's me. Dad, it's me. And I'm coming through the window. Literally, I mean, he can be triggered too. So.
Exactly what Charlie would say when they was coming into the barracks.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, you shouldn't be triggered.
Yeah, well, let me give you a little extra info on this guy. He said his name is Isaiah Lee. I think we have a picture. I'm not sure, but
it's hard to interrupt you.
Yeah,
just ask this question. I know I said it to Christy. I think I said it on the show. Wasn't that everyone's first reaction? Like, this is like blowback from Chappelle's controversy with the. Wasn't that everyone's first assumption?
It wasn't just random. Yeah,
it just seems so obvious at the time. Like, why else would someone just attack him?
Well, I guess there's kind of. I guess there's a part of it though, like. First, he was a black man with a gun that had a knife blade in it.
It was a fake gun and a real knife.
So I kind of put him in weird gangbanger territory or something who didn't seem to care about the trans community. The trans community was a different group and different demographic in my mind, so I didn't connect it, but I guess he did.
Well, let me keep going because there's more. There's more to unfold. He says he identifies as a bisexual and wanted Dave to know that what he said was triggering and that next time he should run his jokes past people it could affect. He said he also was triggered by Dave's jokes about homelessness because he's had some issues with that as well.
Double duty.
But that's not it. He's also a rapper. And wait, sorry, there's more. Crude jokes about pedophilia. He was possibly molested as a teen. He's a rapper who also goes by the name No Name Trapper and once put out a song about Chappelle and said that he carries a weapon for his protection because he's also a celebrity.
So now they're bringing this guy up because he stabbed his roommate at the halfway house.
Exactly.
And the roommate, who may have literally just been a roommate at this halfway house, didn't know who he was, but then he saw him and he went, that's the guy who stabbed me.
Right.
And so I don't think anyone thinks this way enough, but if you can be in the audience of a show and then hop up on stage and charge somebody and hit them with the crown of your head while you leave your feet and or stab someone, like really think about the concept of thrusting a knife into somebody. If that's something you're capable of, then you're pretty capable of anything, like physically. You can rush at a person you don't know and go full Dick Butkus on their ass and or stab your roommate, then there are no rules in terms of personal boundaries in you and what you can and can't do. And once that's gone, you need to be put somewhere. Because you're saying to me, I can push anyone in front of a subway car, or I can take a crocheting needle and put it in the back of any Uber driver I disagree with. Like, that impulse there, that ain't one of your real estate buddies skimming off the top or shaving a couple of points or an insurance fraud deal or embezzling. That ain't any of that. This is just pure impulse.
Yeah.
You are a dog who will bite anybody who walks down the street, and we need to put you somewhere at that point.
Well, he claims that he does not have mental health issues, but his lawyer says, we're working on that. Yeah, and he was charged on Thursday, like you said, stabbing his roommate. Also, if you're triggered by jokes from Dave Chappelle, by all means, feel free to stay home and not buy a ticket to his show.
And how do essentially homeless people get a $150 ticket?
I'd love to know. Tori Amos ain't free, and that's in 2 weeks.
Oh, I saw her.
I know you did, and you gave your girlfriend flowers.
Where is Tori Amos?
She's touring right now.
Well, that was another story, the girlfriend and the flowers.
Yeah.
That was...
I would have put them in lucite. I would have had them silicone packed if you gave me Tori Amos's flowers.
Really?
Fuck yeah.
Where were you in 1984 and a half?
I was a baby.
Oh, 94. Sorry, 94. Yeah. Well, the girlfriend who I said was the waitress, she was a huge Tori Amos fan.
Oh, my God. I would have freaked out if you gave me Tori Amos's flowers.
I went to K-Rock, and Tori Amos was there, and I was doing Mr. Burcham, and they were fans or nuts, so they gave her flowers. And then I took them home to my girlfriend because they were Tori Amos's flowers. Yeah. And then I presented them to her, and she was pissed.
I would have had them sent away like I did my wedding bouquet, and they put it in that silicone or that silica.
Yes. That's the whole point with women. There's no gauging.
That's right.
There's no judging. Well, there's plenty of judging, but you can't gauge. You would have been over the moon with Tori Amos's flowers.
Would have showed everybody.
My girlfriend at the time was happy that I gave her flowers, but then when she found out I got them because Tori Amos left them behind, she then was pissed.
Yeah.
So how do you gauge that?
I guess you're going to have to treat everyone like an individual. It fucking sucks.
Right. So, but see, guys, we don't go, you don't go, oh, I got your cordless drill. And you go, oh, cool. Yeah, Ted Nugent left it behind. Oh, fuck that. Get it out. We'd go, oh, 18 volt. All right, keyless chuck.
Oh.
Because
Motor State Madman knows his stuff.
Yeah, but he could be my favorite artist or my least favorite artist. Let's focus on the free cordless drill I just got. That's how guys roll.
It could be cooler, but not any less cool.
That's right.
Like if you love the dude, if it's like Bon Jovi's drill, then awesome. Some other guy, still a drill.
Yeah, it's still a drill.
Yeah.
Scott Stapp's drill. Okay, cool drill.
Yeah, Nickelback's drill. Not as cool as
still a drill.
Joe's
just a drill.
Yeah.
But you can't go, you're right, you can't go lower than a drill.
Right.
I was like, we cannot go lower than a bouquet of flowers here. I'm going to possibly up it with Tori Amos's bouquet of flowers. No, we dip down under the bouquet.
Because you didn't reach into your own pocket.
That's right.
Yeah.
Which were empty back then.
That's right. So, like, you could afford a Tori Amos-sized bouquet of flowers.
Mm.
All right. So
Lots of people are mad that Dave opened for John Mulaney.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, he did a show.
'Cause he was in Ohio.
Columbus, and Dave came out and did a 15-minute surprise performance. There's some anti-gay, anti-trans jokes, according to the attendees, and they felt, quote, ambushed.
Well, because I mean, in their defense, which I get it. I get that it's stupid, but in their defense, they bought a ticket to see John Mulaney. It's not like the triggered guy who bought his ticket to see Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, I know, but
can't we put comedy kind of off limits? I mean, I just
You'd think.
I just feel like there's got to be an arena for people to laugh at everyone,
It would
and
be
people
nice.
could laugh at themselves. I just hope that comedy doesn't get ruined with too many sensitive people. It's got to be the one arena we have to protect.
Agree.
yeah, I concur. And yeah, I get they didn't sign up for Chappelle, but a 15-minute act who's arguably maybe a bigger act than the act you paid for at the time, that's a treat, people.
Yeah, and then the fact that like John Mulaney came out and hugged him at the end of the show, and
They're
everyone just freaking out about it. One of the more popular tweeters or attendees was tweeting about it. Said that he was ambushed. I saw his profile. It's probably the most opposite profile. The one, like, put it up, Ben. So this guy at Testosterone Jew was tweeting a lot about it. And his profile, his bio says, genderqueer gentleman, body mod enthusiast, anti-Zionist, polyam, service dog handler.
What?
And I'm just like, okay,
This isn't real.
That's a guy Adam can't hang with.
Yeah.
This
put him
isn't
on my
real.
list.
Testosterone Jew wants to make sure everyone knows he's anti-Zionist. Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, very upset about John. John Mulaney was trending over the weekend because of this.
John's going to land
And
on
it sucks as he just had a movie come out.
Oh, he
What?
did?
Yeah, the Chippendale movie.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that
That
movie.
movie. I heard on I think on Smartless podcast, one of all of his merchandise that he sells, at shows, the one that's the hottest seller is a shirt that says something like, I saw John's first show out of rehab. Which is a hot ticket at his show. So we're usually the country that's sending aid everywhere. So it kind of makes the news when it's being sent to us. Operation Fly Formula has completed its first mission on sending more than 70,000 pounds of baby formula was flown from Europe to Indianapolis. This was expected to be the first of several shipments to arrive in the U.S. as part of Biden's plan to deal with the shortage. I've been a little confused about how we even got to this point. So in a very...
Same.
Yeah, this is just a one-sentence overview. Basically, between the COVID supply chain, blah, 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 blah issues, and then a recent recall for contaminated formula, it left the shelves clean. And then hoarders and assholes like that.
There's, I think, only 3 big companies that supply it. And one of them had like some whistleblower contamination scare that was several months old, and whoever, the FDA or whoever, was kind of slow to get on it, and then they closed the plant down, but then they found out whatever the contamination wasn't from the formula, but it's from like another part of the thing, but the bureaucracy kept
They had
it
to
slow.
dump all the formula?
And they were sort of aware of it, but they weren't really on it, and then we got down to this, and then there's also some version of the people who get the whatever the euphemistic.
Well, aren't there production in China, and they're in COVID lockdowns right now? So I don't think they can get the production out of China right
That's
now.
But we had one of our
all-encompassing supply chain.
one of ours shut down.
as well.
That was I think the big, or maybe it was a confluence of a whole bunch of different factors.
But as you would often say about other countries, what year is it?
Yes.
People can't get baby formula?
Yeah. Well,
It's
that's
scary.
That's us. That's what we did.
Are you ready to see the ultimate airport smackdown?
Yes.
Oh my God. So TMZ, of course, all over it, reports that an airline passenger and a United Airlines employee, and hold that thought on the passenger, I'll tell you his background, were in this all-out brawl at Newark Liberty International Airport, and the worker ended up just laid out, but then like a weeble wobble gets back up, and nobody knows why. The witnesses to this say the two begin arguing before pushing and slapping and punching each other. The video starts mid-fight, so still unclear as to what caused it. But the worker seems to push the passenger, who then slaps the employee in the face. Then all hell breaks loose. The two kind of square off. They're exchanging blows. One really lands, catches the employee, who just goes kind of down. But again, gets back up. I'm going to show you the video, and then I'll explain who the passenger was.
Haven't seen it.
Oh, it's great. Big, tall passenger.
Big, tall passenger. Looks like a pretty beefy employee as well.
Oh,
Getting a
big slap.
He's ducking a few of the punches. Then he caught one. Then he went back. Then he ate another. Oh, he's eating. He's eating punches. But the guy's eating them is game.
Yeah.
He's got a
Kind of boxes him in the ear.
He's got a good beard. Oh, then he caught him with a big one, an overhand right. Then he knocked him over the thing, and then he went down on the conveyor belt.
But wait!
But
he has heart.
I do like the guy who smacked him was like, what the fuck? When
Oh, wait, watch this.
he's got his hands down. Got to put your hands up.
Yeah.
The one guy's got the reach.
Yeah.
And he moves forward when he throws punches, and he loads up on that right. But look, when you get into a fight in an airport, look for the right hand, people, because the non-professionals throw the right. They don't throw the jab. They don't lead. You don't have to worry about their weak hand. You have to worry about their writing hand.
That's right.
That's the hand you have to worry about. Just simply, you know what's coming. What's coming is the back hand, not the front. The front is... and by the way, if you do square off at an airport and the guy's first punch is a sharp jab with his left hand, get the fuck out of there. That guy boxes. If a guy throws either an uppercut, a hook, or a jab with the lead, get the fuck out of there. That's what that guy does.
Well, apparently the passenger was arrested, despite the passenger's claim that he didn't throw the first punch. Cops say the passenger was arrested and charged with simple assault. Now, who was that guy? Well, his name's Brandon Langley. He's an ex-NFL player. Langley was a third-round pick in 2017 for the NFL draft out of Lamar University, currently playing for the CFL's Calgary Stampeders. So he has a little bloodlust, a little competition in him.
Yeah, the guy who worked there, well, he literally had what they call a good beard in boxing, but he had a big beard. But a good beard,
an actual beard.
A good beard means a good chin. But you guys tell me this. Riddle me this. Tell me what you think. You watch the MMA, and see, this guy wouldn't put his hands up, which was a big problem. And he just he just keeps throwing the overhand right, but get your left hand up and see that's coming. And now...
That's the problem, not that people are fighting in the airport.
Yes. All right.
That he didn't duck.
You guys answer me this. In MMA, they wear those 3 or 4 ounce gloves. You will see guys go into that ring with a pretty stout beard.
Yeah.
Like a big old
bushy
dude beard. You know what I mean? Getting hit on the chin with, 3-4 inches of facial growth versus old boxing gloves used to be filled with horsehair or whatever. They didn't have synthetic sponges and stuff when those guys fought, Gentleman Jim Corbett fought back when they went to gloves. Right. You think about the rules. Shouldn't there be a rule that says you want to wear a beard in the octagon, fine, but 3/8 of an inch, max. You can't wear a big lumberjack beard.
At weigh-in, they're going to measure your beard.
That's interesting.
Because it seems like a distinct advantage. Minor, but still something.
It is
protect yourself.
Something, and it disproportionate. I feel like a number of those guys do have a big old Russian dude beard in there, and it's got to count for something, especially when the gloves have nothing.
Have a machine that punches something, and then you put hair thickness of a beard, and then you measure the impact. And if it's substantial, then you shouldn't ban beards.
Right.
See, that's the numbers guy in you,
right.
Jason.
Yeah, you got to go scientific.
That's you in your numbers. Chris, you have thoughts on the video?
Yeah, so this video had millions and millions of views on Twitter, but it started at a different point.
Oh.
So everybody was watching it, and I even think to this day, most of the people have seen this version where it starts here.
Because
where
TMZ usually gets
you don't
the good
see the
stuff.
first punches, and the airline worker
gives the first slap. Right, which is what the passenger said. But he
So
still got
everybody's
arrested.
commentary was based on that. I mean, I don't know who threw the first punch at all because even the earlier video starts in the middle of the altercation. But it was just kind of interesting to see that that's where everybody saw it from and commented on. And then everyone was also bummed that he didn't land in the conveyor belt and go around.
Yeah,
you got to
that's
put
good.
your hands up at a certain point.
But yeah, supposedly he was being accused of the passengers being accused of using a wheelchair to transport his luggage instead of the paid for luggage
That's a Mike
cart.
August move.
Yeah, I know. So and Mike actually sent this to me and Gina saying,
Yeah.
I don't condone this, but I support it.
understand it.
I understand it. And yeah, even more so now.
But wait, this started over like a victimless crime of using a
Unless
wheelchair
there was
instead
a
of
cripple who needed the wheelchair.
But it's
yeah.
not like he was like running around with a meat cleaver naked. Like he was just
No.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
I agree. Anyway, put your hands up. Look for the right. And if you get the left, leave.
Well done. Do we have time for one more?
Sure.
Okay. Let's go into brawls that aren't human based. So 6 people were hurt Friday night when a bull jumped a fence and escaped from the rodeo in Northern California. And I'm going to show it to you. The frightening incident, I'm going to show you in a second, occurred during the final portion of the Redding Rodeo. The bull, are you familiar? Are you both Bay-ish?
I know Redding.
Okay. The bull bucked the rider off, hopped a fence, plowed through a crowd. It then ran into the parking lot and was eventually wrangled near a bridge about a half a mile away. 6 people treated for injuries, including a 15-year-old whose leg was clipped by the horn, but no one seriously hurt. This is some footage, and then you get a little commentary at the very end. Turn it up.
The Bull's
bucking a guy off.
Guy's got a good ride going. Then now he's going after
Bull's angry.
the clowns. The
Bull's
rodeo
switch has been
clowns.
flipped.
And now they're trying to lasso the bull
Right into the crowd.
right into the crowd. Wow.
Still bucking.
They're super athletic for 1,500
Fucking A.
pounds, man. He
That's
went
a
right
good
over
5
that.
feet at least.
He went right over that fence.
That's
mile.
like it looks like 7 feet.
Yeah.
6, 7.
Yeah, I almost
Yeah.
see the
That red
banners
bar.
go up to the guy's
Yeah,
chest. but
he cleared it. Yeah, he went over. There's a
Wow.
top rail there, too. Yeah, that's one athletic bull. That bull's a keeper.
Yeah.
That bull's a breeder.
Yeah, I think so.
You want that bull.
But
You want that
also, like,
bloodline.
We understand that they're angry. Yes, when you tie somebody's like dick and balls to their thigh.
That's where the rope goes. I
Right.
think it goes around their nutsack.
Yeah, so we get why they would just be like fuck this and leave.
Yeah, don't blame the bull.
Yeah.
I'm glad they didn't shoot the bull like they would for a horse.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got it, but that was it's not always people.
This is good. Look, if you're at the rodeo and it's a Friday night, probably got a nice buzz going at this point. This is a good thing.
You better.
Oh yeah, that's what you go for.
Yeah, you don't want
pray.
to spill your beer,
That's
but
right.
if you and your beer made it out unscathed, this is a good thing.
That was a winning night at the rodeo.
All right, let's bring it home.
You got it. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
Gina Grad. That was the news with Gina Grad.
All right. I'll be in Denver June 23rd for the TOS Con, and you can use the code Carolla for 15% off. Come on out, check that out. Then Comedy Works Out. That'll be June 24th, 25th. Sonny's coming out. We'll be doing live pod there and stand-up there as well. Just go to mcarolla.com for all the live shows. Jason Oppenheim, Selling Sunset, of course, on Netflix. And his Instagram at Jason Oppenheim as well. Anything I'm missing, Jason?
You got it.
We got it. So, until next time. Oh, and you can pre-order my book, Everything Reminds Me of Something. It's coming out soon at adamcarolla.com. Until next time, Adam Carolla for Jason Oppenheim, Gina Grad, and Bald Brian. Say it. Mahala.
If anybody ever travels outside of the U.S. and you go to the Middle East or you go to Mexico, anywhere, if you go into a kind of a bazaar type place, please, Americans, just
Respectfully
they
haggle.
expect it.
Yes,
But
yes.
then you do the math. By the way, you do the math in your head. Sometimes you're like, wait a minute, the dollar to the peso. Wait a minute, I'm negotiating over 33 cents.